about mastering the art of effective communication. Essentially, you are using your communication skills in order to bring about transformation in somebody else. It doesn't have to be difficult, especially after you watch this video. So with that, let's get into it. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time certified 7-figure life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And I feel like I do all the talking because that is a big part of being a life coach. And so with that, I thought for today's video, I would talk about mastering the art of effective communication. Yes, you are a life coach and you're helping people solve their problems, helping people achieve goals, but essentially you are using your communication skills in order to bring about transformation in somebody else. So it's kind of heavy when you think about it, kind of deep, but it doesn't have to be difficult, especially after you watch this video. So with that, let's get into it. All right, so when we think about being an effective communicator, especially as a life coach, oftentimes we think about, well, what is it that I need to say, or how do I need to speak, or should I be articulate, or whatever. But we forget that one of the biggest components of communication is actually active listening. So I'll tell you up front that your communication skills are going to be based on how good of a listener you are as a coach, and how good of a listener you are, not just to what the client is saying, but to some other things, what the client is doing, what the client might be suggesting, what they're not saying can often tell you a lot. And so with that, I'm going to give you this acronym. It's EAR, right? Which is spelled ear. And maybe you've heard the saying, maybe your parents have told you when you were a child, you know, you only have one mouth and two ears because you're supposed to listen twice as much as you are supposed to be speaking. It's the same thing as a life coach. So with that in mind, ear, E stands for emotional intelligence. Yes, emotional intelligence is the first component of being an effective communicator as a life coach. So you're gonna have to think about emotions in two ways, right? Thinking about your own emotions, but then also thinking about the emotions of your client. Now, first and foremost, your own emotions, right? Being professional, first and foremost, as a life coach means that you're gonna have to keep your emotions in check and make sure that you are speaking and communicating from the perspective of what is best for the client, not necessarily how you feel about what the client has said. You know, sometimes as a life coach, you wade into some, really tough territory in terms of overcoming different challenges in order to achieve different outcomes. And who knows, you might be coaching on an arena that might have, some triggers for you, right? It might be a bit of a sore spot. For instance, maybe you are coaching a high-powered client on work-life balance, and this takes you back to how you used to feel as a child, where maybe you had one or both parents who were always working. And so, you're supposed to be present and focus on the client, helping them overcome their challenges. And maybe they're saying things like, at this point, my career is really my priority and I want to prioritize that. Well, maybe you feel a certain kind of way because you're like, I remember what it felt like to be a kid, who was left at baseball practice wondering when their parents were going to finally pick them up. Again, emotional intelligence, being able to recognize that within yourself, but keep those emotions in check so that you can ultimately communicate for the client and help them achieve their goals. So that's the first part of emotional intelligence. But the second part of emotional intelligence is being intelligent about the client's emotions. In fact, there are some things, some questions that you might want to ask as a coach, some guidance that you might want to give, where it's actually not the best time based on the client's present emotional state. And so this is why I'm a big proponent in long-term coaching engagements. I know in the life coaching arena, there could be this mindset of like, oh yes, I'm going to have, single coaching sessions, right? $150 an hour per coaching sessions. If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know how much I rally against the $150 an hour coaching session. But part of the reason why I am not a fan of like solo drop-in, hey, can I just book a session with you type sessions, is because oftentimes the work that needs to happen and the communication that you're going to have to provide as a life coach is best if it happens over time, because in each session, your client is not going to be in the emotional place to always receive what you have to offer, or to even go down the line of questioning necessary in order to pull out the transformation that they are looking for. So a part of your emotional intelligence is not just keeping your own emotions in check, but being mindful of where the client is in their emotional state at any given time, and being able to effectively move the ball forward, so to speak, in your coaching session, but knowing that, I might reserve this line of questioning or this particular guidance. I'm going to reserve this for future sessions because given the client's current emotional state, this is not, a line of questioning or coaching that is best served for us to go down right now. All right, so the second part of being an effective communicator, and in our little acronym EAR, right? We did E, which is all about emotional intelligence, but A is about atmosphere, right? So this is considering the atmosphere that your client, is in, right? The environment that they are in. That is a huge part of communication. You need to be mindful, one, of your coaching sessions, whether you're doing them in person or over Zoom. Do insist as the coach that your client, be in a quiet space, that they be somewhere that is, not gonna have a bunch of distractions for them, because if there's a lot of distractions going on, if they're like, in the corner of the bedroom upstairs and the kids are running around all crazy, that might not be the best atmosphere for them to even receive your communications, or for them to communicate with you at a level that's gonna allow you to effectively speak to their issue and effectively communicate with them to help them achieve whatever goal. So make sure that you are managing the atmosphere of your actual coaching sessions, but also be mindful of the atmosphere more broadly in terms of, well, where are they coming from when they get on your coaching sessions? Are you doing your coaching sessions at 6 p.m. and your client just fought through traffic, at 5 p.m. From their 9-to-5 job, and now they're logging onto your sessions? Be mindful of that. That way you can structure your sessions that kind of, lessen maybe some of the stress that they are carrying before you begin communicating, so that those communications are better received. Let's say that you are a marriage coach, or you're doing something around relationships. Maybe your coaching session is right before their spouse gets home from work. So again, be mindful of the atmosphere, not just that the client came from, but the atmosphere that they're going to be going into, right? You're gonna have your session and everything is all hunky-dory, but when they log off, if that person walks through the door, or their kids are walking through the door, is that gonna create a stressful environment that you need to be mindful of and that you need to be mitigating with your effective communication inside of the session? So you just have to more broadly be aware of what is the atmosphere that the client is dealing with before, after, and during your coaching session. All right, and the third part of effective communication, going with our acronym EAR, E, emotional intelligence, A, atmosphere. R stands for real reason, right? The real reason. One of the most effective tools that you have to being a good communicator as a life coach, again, going back to listening for the real reason behind whatever it is that your client ultimately is saying to you. I say this because you're human, I'm human. Well, guess what? Your clients are humans too, okay? And as humans, we love to put up smoke screens. We love to say, oh, this is the goal that I'm really going after. But if you, as the coach, are not doing your due diligence and asking thoughtful questions to get to the real reason, you might find yourself coaching them and speaking at a level, communicating with them at a level that is actually very surface and very superficial, and you never get the transformation because you never got to the heart of the matter. So again, part of being an effective communicator as a life coach is being an effective listener, and part of that is asking thoughtful questions to get to the real reason. For me, in a coaching session, we're not even gonna get into the meat and potatoes of the actual coaching and creating plans and working to get you to the transformation that you're looking for until I am clear the real reason that you are here and the real reason why it is that you say you want the things that you want. A lot of novice coaches, they skip over this. They just assume that the first answer that the client gives is the most forthright answer, and that's not always the case. So make sure that in your communication, you are communicating until you get to the real reason, and then once you get to the real reason, that's when your coaching can begin. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this and you're looking to be a more effective communicator as a life coach, there's a good chance that you're just looking to be a better life coach in general. I'm sure you not only want to help people, but you want to grow your practice. And so if that is the case, I invite you to join me in my CLS Coaching Certification Program, where we will not only award you with an accredited life coaching certification, but we will help you come up with your own coaching methodology. We'll help you nail your niche and help you craft your own coaching package. And if you so choose, we even have a version of the certification program that will walk you through my whole marketing and branding process. I mean, we have templates, forms, systems, software. There's just so much, way more than I could share at the end of this video. So if you are interested, go ahead and click the link below to learn more about it, where you can apply. And if accepted, you'll be invited to an enrollment call with my team of enrollment coordinators who will walk you through the entire process. All right, if you love this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next YouTube video, make sure you're subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast episode or my next YouTube video, make sure you're following me on both Instagram and TikTok. It's CourtneyLSanders on both. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.